So my name's Colin McMillan. I work for Firstport, and we provide early stage support for social enterprises, both at startup stage as well as all the way through to investment preparation and readiness to take on social investment, which hopefully is why you're here, to learn a bit more about our LaunchMe programme. I'll go through, for this webinar, we'll go through a few of the different programmes that we run, and then obviously spend a wee bit of time talking about the LaunchMe programme and a bit more about what it looks like and feels like, and whether it might be the most appropriate thing for you to be going for. It's obviously an informal session, this. To say that we've got the chat capability and question and answers down at the bottom if you want to ask questions as you would go through, and please feel free to write them down. I might not be able to answer them immediately, but at the end I'll have a check to see whether there's question and answers, and we can try and address them. If there's anything that we can't go through, then obviously we'll jot those down and get back in touch, with you separately. Okay, so if I can try and share our presentation, then we should be able to get started. Okay. So hopefully you can all see this. So LaunchMe is a program that we run here at Firstport. Firstport provides a whole range of support, and you can see different stages of the journey for Firstport, both from the really early stage of social enterprises and the raising aspirations part, all the way through to the scale-up part, which is our LaunchMe program. I think that there's a few different programs that we do run. There's a place-based development program called What If that we've run over in Girvan and various other places in Edinburgh and elsewhere across Scotland, which is much more about social enterprise as part of an economy across and using social enterprise to stimulate growth in a geographical area. We've also got the Social Entrepreneurs Fund, which is grants of up to £5,000 to start something up, and up to £25,000 for salary costs to bring you or a staff member into a role full time, and that's the Social Entrepreneurs Fund. Alongside that, we've got a programme that we run called Just Enterprise, which is a business support programme, which is a Scottish Government funded programme. We do the startup support for that, but there's a range of other organisations that are involved in supporting social enterprises right through the course of that organisation's lifespan. And then obviously, one of the parts of Firstport's journey is the scale up and the kind of ambitious social entrepreneurs and social enterprises that are going to go on to do more and to try and take in to scale up their operation, both their social and commercial operation. So specifically in terms of LaunchMe, it's an accelerator program for high growth, ambitious social enterprises. For what we're looking for is 8 of those people and I say people, it could be social entrepreneurs or community entrepreneurs, and we'll come on to that in a second. But the primary function of LaunchMe is to bring those people through a process of support to go on and secure investment. And what we mean by investment when we're talking about social enterprises, usually with the asset lock, is loans into the business. It's funded by the Scottish Government and also Highlands and Islands Enterprises, and we've got a significant amount of support from Barclays Bank, which we can talk about in a little second. In terms of what we've done so far, so we're now currently in our 4th round. We're now seeking our 5th round of participants, which is what we're doing right now. We've had 29 social enterprises coming through the journey towards growth. 13 of those have gone on to raise over £1 million of private investment, but that doesn't include the 7 round 4 participants, which are currently looking for investment at the moment and are about to pitch in the next few weeks for private investment. And I suppose that leads on to the idea that we've got a strong network of private investors that are looking to support social enterprises. And I suppose in terms of the private investors, there's a wide range of reasons for them investing, not least social investment tax relief, but also specific industries that they're interested in investing in, and also social purposes. So there's a wide range, and we've got that expertise in understanding what their needs and wants are. In terms of alumni, that we've people that have been there in the past, these are all people in the past 2 rounds. So we've had Chris Gray is on the current round. He's top left there. Well-Fed Scotland Kick is an organisation. We have Zakia Malawi, who's set up Invisible Cities, which is a fantastic tour company. Robbie Norville has set up Lingo Flamingo, a language centre and language classes, supporting people, particularly those who are older and suffering from dementia, because a second language is evidence to stem the symptoms of dementia if you've learned a second or third or fourth language. All sorts of businesses, and we will go into some of these case studies in a little bit later in the presentation. In terms of the LaunchMe program and the model, we've got different phases: the Find Me, Choose Me, Connect, and LaunchMe phases. The Connect Me phase is once the application process is completed, then that's, I suppose, what you would call the investment readiness and full business support phase. But first of all, we're currently in the Find Me phase, and that's the application phase, where we're coming out trying to find people who are interested in this particular program. Deadline for the Find Me phase is on the 21st of October at noon. And if you're interested, and after this presentation and maybe speaking to you, you are interested, then the 21st of October is the deadline. The actual application process during the Find Me phase is very much more of a note of interest, and whilst it's an application form online, it's fairly light touch. We don't expect full business case and the full understanding of how you're going to grow, but it gives you the basic information. You're putting the basic information about how your business and how you maybe expect to grow over the years. After that, we go on to the Choose Me phase, and that's really when there's an element of business support in there, where you would have some events, one-to-one support. If you get through the finding phase into the long list, of which there's usually a good number of people come through to that, we go through a process of support until you would apply via business plan and financial forecast. And that would be circa December that you're doing that. Then we go through another shortlisting process where around about 12 come through to get additional one-to-one support through for financial management, cash flow forecasting, and pitch practice support, where those circa 12 businesses are able to pitch to an expert panel, and 8 of those will get onto the Connect Me phase, which I'll talk about in a second. In the timescales across the piece are, so we're 21st of October at 12 noon is the deadline for the applications. Then the Choose Me phase is from November to about end of February 2020 next year. Then we go on to the Connect Me phase, which is March to around about November next year. And the Launch Me phase, which is once you've taken on investment and potentially grant funding, would be November through to November 2021. So in terms of what the program is about, it is very much about looking for private investment from investors. That private investment comes in usually around about August, September, October, maybe in November time in the program. And we expect that would be August, September, October 2020. So if you're thinking about it now's the time to be developing that kind of proposal that will then go on to look at investment coming in a year's time. What do you get as a participant? If you get on as the 8 into the programme proper, into the Connect Me phase, you get £10,000 worth of seed funding. That's to be spent on going on and to preparing yourself to scale up and to take on investment. So increasing capacity, putting in the right legal structure, etc., etc. We would be able to support you with that. There's the one-to-one support and group business support as well. We've got expertise in investment readiness, both connecting up with experts in social investment tax relief, so MBM Commercial and various other accountancy firms are able to give you specific advice. Barclays give a huge amount of business support advice as well as from myself and our team here at First Port. You've got access to professional expertise as well through industry experts, depending on what it is that your needs are. There's direct links into the investment syndicates and private investors, for which we've got strong connections across that space, because we know that people are interested in investing in social enterprises. There's been 4 rounds. We're now looking for the 5th round. So there are, as we saw, 29 social entrepreneurs that went through this program. Some were successful in receiving investment, some not so successful. All were interested in and engaged in the program, and would be a good space for peer networking support. But we've got a lot of private businesses or social enterprises that haven't come through the program or are much further down the line who you can connect up with as well. And also access to a pool of grant funders who might be able to act as co-investment for the program. So we've got access to that, as well as support through crowdfunding support and other areas of support that can put money into the business. In terms of who can apply, social enterprises, so what I would say is the more traditional social enterprises, and community organisations. We'll talk very briefly about both. What we're looking at is, in terms of social enterprises, we're fairly fluid and flexible in this, but we would usually say, okay, an early stage, something up to 3 years old, for example, ambitious, clear understanding of their desire to grow and expand. Usually we would say that sales turnover wouldn't be more than 200k. Again, it depends on what it is that you're looking to do, but products and services, you're looking at maybe entering new markets or developing new products and services. You've got to understand that you're tackling a clear social problem, and that the solution to that is scalable. Evidence of some track record. If there's digital programs out there, then we would look at whether a track record was required. A lot of this stuff is we would open up a discussion and dialogue with you if you had something that was needing social investment or investment, but didn't have evidence of track record. But we can talk about that, on a case-by-case basis. And also, you've got to have that appetite to take on investment or loan to realise your growth plans. In terms of community organisations, so a lot of people need a bit of, outside of just purely grant funding, there's a need to take on working capital or loan to go ahead and do the trading activity that perhaps you would struggle with if you didn't have an injection of cash or the ability to take on grant funding. So the idea of developing an asset, or that you're looking at products and services via a trading subsidiary, might be something that you're looking to do. So this could well be the program for you. Again, we look at sales turnover under 200k, and we say that because if you're a community organisation or a scheme or a charity who's got large turnover because of grant funding, but you're looking to do something in the sales where you're looking to trade services or products, then we would look at that. And again, case-by-case basis to discuss that with you. You've got to have that potential to generate income as opposed to grant dependency, and the impact needs to be predominantly in Scotland. Whether it's for you or not, well, that'll be a question for us all to discuss. But the ambition, you've got to have that ambition to scale up your social impact, take on investment to understand and realise your growth plans from the commercial side of things. and for you to be prepared to commit to the program, so that you know, the old adage, you get out of the program what you give in. If you're coming along, you'll be able to work with those people, your peers on the program, but also past participants of the program, and all that other support that you can connect up with. A couple of examples. We're going to talk about Leslie. So Leslie Compston set up this business, Class Care Community Interest Company. It's a childcare organisation providing pay-as-you-go style affordable childcare. The idea is that it's dealing with some of the in-work poverty. The location that it's based in Paisley is one of the reasons why it works really very well. She was operating this. It's also getting back into work and supporting people back into work through programs of support for volunteers. And the idea is that she had this vision of setting up a childcare facility. The facility they were using one of the school classrooms and wanted to do something a bit more robust, increase their capacity. She wanted to take over a facility that was on the ground, so an old janitor's building, and do it up. And she needed £130,000 worth of funding to make that happen. So she came on the programme, but actually it transpired that she could do a lot more as a community organisation to develop the community capacity building. So she actually looked at the programme and said that if she got £315,000, she could go on and make it a true community facility. So in effect, a community hub. So she came on the LaunchMe programme. While she was doing that, she went through the leader funding and other funding mechanisms and managed to achieve circa £200,000 from that. But she also got £70,000 worth of private investment through a combination of Social Investment Scotland and other funders. And she went on to get £60,000 worth of big lottery match funding in order to achieve her goals. And she's opened the premises in September last year and is cracking on with things, doing very, very well. So that was one example. I think that the other example that I'd like to give, just if I can go back to Paul Parmenter, is that he set up the workshop Aberfeldy in Aberfeldy, and it was born out of the issues around school leavers or people dropping out of school early and going into negative destinations. Also around Aberfeldy in a rural community looking to develop, retain people within its community. And the idea that people who were vulnerable and potentially dropping out of school come through a process of support where they go into the workshop and learn lots of different practical skills that a workshop, woodwork and metalwork and plastic works, woodwork and metalwork that would allow, but also certificate of work readiness and these sort of processes and programs. It takes those people through that programme and ends up in supporting them into that positive destination. What they needed was investment and grant funding for a laser cutter and a CNC router. They were looking for circa £130,000 to ramp up their sales and production and therefore sales. And they have achieved this in spades. They've done very, very, very well with their trading turnover going up from a circa £2,000 a month all the way up to around about £15,000 a month, just by focusing on the right things and installing some of this equipment, which is a very useful thing. So if you're ready to join the mission and you're interested in taking part, what do you have to do? Well, the next thing to do is go online and have a look at our guidance notes. They'll be able to give you a wee bit more information. If you would like to set up a meeting, I'll be available to take phone calls and emails and what have you. Obviously, we'll have a chance to have some questions just in a second in the chat Q&A bit. There's LaunchMe blogs and really interesting information and interviews, etc. online, so please jump on there and see some of our blogs. There's an investor's perspective as to why investors invest in social enterprises as well. But at the very least, make sure that your application's in by noon on the 21st of October. So that's the end of our presentation. If there are any questions, we'll go back to that. Have we got any questions? If you're able to ask them via the Q&A or the chat area, that'd be brilliant.